A boy pressured Hatsuki into agreeing, and the desperation in his voice left her no easy escape. Hatsuki hesitated, then, under that pressure, asked if this really had to happen now, because refusing him was becoming difficult. He pleaded for just one more chance, and Hatsuki finally gave in, telling herself it would somehow be fine. As he leaned closer, Hatsuki reminded him not to forget that she was not his girlfriend, clinging to that boundary like it was all she had. Left alone with that thought, Hatsuki repeated the word friend as if forcing her heart back under control. Even with her face burning, Hatsuki kept telling herself that being only that to him was the role she had chosen. Later, Minato reflected that he could endure almost anything as long as he never let himself expect too much. He called himself Toshiya Minato, an ordinary student, though at least he did not hate himself for it. Minato admitted that not long ago, he had no idea where he was even supposed to fit in. He remembered a girl who sat beside him, talked to him every day, and walked to school with him, and he had secretly ranked her as the 5th cutest girl in class. Minato imagined confessing to her, and the fantasy right away collapsed into one awkward disaster after another. The girl reacted stiffly and seemed unsure what to say, which only made the scene feel more hopeless in his head. Minato snapped back to reality, still trapped in the aftertaste of that humiliating daydream. He introduced himself again as Toshiya Minato and admitted he never had a chance with the girl he had only ranked 5th in class. Looking back at the seats they shared, Minato realized his first mistake had been judging her by something that shallow at all. The shame hit him so hard he wanted to vanish right there. Then someone all of a sudden shook him awake and asked how long he planned to keep sleeping. Still groggy, Minato looked up through the blur and realized it was Hatsuki. Hatsuki introduced herself with a playful smile and told him he should be grateful she had bothered to wake him. As he glanced around the empty classroom, Minato realized he had completely passed out. Hatsuki noticed he had stayed up late again and instantly guessed he had been gaming. Minato defended himself by saying it was only a popular FPS, insisting that was not a crime, though he muttered that sports were probably healthier. Hatsuki said she was not telling him what to play, she just wanted him to move around and wake up, while Minato, still half asleep, awkwardly wondered why she cared at all. Seeing him hesitate, Hatsuki asked if he simply did not want to spend time with her, and that disappointed look backed him into a corner. Minato gave in, and Hatsuki right away told him to hurry as she pulled him out of the classroom. As they walked side by side, Minato explained that Aoi Hatsuki was famous at school, almost like the queen of cheerful, positive people. He noticed her long, pale hair, light makeup, and pretty face that still carried an innocent softness. He also noticed her model-like presence, and standing beside her only made her feel more dazzling and more out of reach. When they reached the arcade, Minato could barely process that someone like Hatsuki was spending time alone with a plain guy like him. Still unable to make sense of it, Minato wondered if something had happened with Hatsuki and her usual friends. Minato pointed out that Aoi Hatsuki was already there, and she hesitated as if she did not know how to explain herself. Minato recalled that he had become friends with Aoi Hatsuki about 3 months after starting high school. In that memory, Hatsuki apologized to Minato before bringing up something that clearly mattered to her. Hatsuki asked whether Minato had any free time, and he looked up at her in surprise. She admitted she did not want to attend summer classes and asked Minato to help her study instead. Caught completely off guard, Minato asked why she had chosen him. Minato instantly thought Hatsuki had plenty of friends, and there had to be boys with better grades than his. Hatsuki pressed her hands together and sweetly begged him to come with her, clearly trying to wear down his resistance. After a short pause, Minato gave in and agreed, and Hatsuki lit up at once. That one answer led straight to the two of them playing table tennis together, pulling everything back to the present. Hatsuki all of a sudden dropped down in an exaggerated, playful way, and Minato could only stare as her reckless energy swept him along again. On the way, Hatsuki asked what Minato wanted to do that day and casually suggested they could just hang out at her place again like yesterday. Then she decided she would go check on Momo for a while, sounding completely unconcerned. Hatsuki kept the conversation moving so naturally that Minato felt himself getting pulled deeper into her rhythm. Minato reflected that both of their parents were always busy and came home late, so visiting each other's rooms had started to feel strangely normal. As he changed clothes, Minato could hardly believe a girl like Hatsuki lived on the same floor as him, and the thought hit harder than it should have. After getting ready, Minato called out that he was there and tried to steady himself before stepping inside. Hatsuki greeted him at the door with drinks in hand, and Minato thanked her while feeling how easily she made everything seem normal. A little later, Hatsuki complained that she was tired from changing clothes, and Minato pointed out that she could have just done that at home. She stretched out on the bed and admitted that lying down after all that effort felt amazing, while Minato awkwardly asked whether she wanted something to eat. Looking at the fast food on the tray, Minato wondered if eating more was even a good idea since he had already had a hamburger. After checking the time and seeing it was already around 8, Minato admitted he was not that hungry either. Minato said he wanted to play a game, reminding Hatsuki that she had dragged him around all day and should let him choose this time. Hatsuki playfully asked whether she should join in or just watch, then teased that with the beautiful girl cheering him on, losing would be impossible. Minato shot back that she only ever picked characters with absurd designs, and when she kept pushing him, he awkwardly tried to dodge it. Hatsuki deliberately leaned closer and told him to look her way if he wanted to see a real example, clearly trying to throw him off balance. When Hatsuki pointed out that what he was avoiding was right in front of him, Minato admitted he was tired of the teasing and barely holding it together. Hatsuki casually added that she had changed a lot lately, and Minato reacted like he could not believe she had actually said it. Hatsuki explained that she was still only a first year in high school, which meant she was still growing, and Minato could only sit there and absorb that. Minato then reasoned that dealing with sudden changes had to be inconvenient, especially if it kept throwing her off. Hatsuki caught Minato staring off again and told him to focus, reminding him that his game had already started. Minato awkwardly admitted he had not expected such an over-designed character, and Hatsuki instantly told him not to phrase it like that. Hatsuki argued that girls were judged too easily by appearance, while boys were harder to read, and she complained that the difference was unfair. She pressed Minato to say whether he preferred average or flashy, and he tried to dodge while she mocked how fast his dignity was collapsing. Hatsuki moved even closer and challenged how he could still stay calm in a situation like this, tightening the pressure around him. When Minato said he would rather see a more ordinary example, Hatsuki joked that she would have to catch someone while they were asleep. Minato turned at that in alarm, but Hatsuki calmly said that was exactly why he seemed dangerous enough to make her nervous. Hatsuki then laughed it off and admitted her joke had gone too far again. From the bed, Hatsuki declared that if anything strange was going to happen, she would rather be awake for it, then smugly decided that Minato had completely lost his nerve. Minato shot back that at this rate, Hatsuki would never rank up, and she flatly told him to shut up. Minato hesitated in confusion as Hatsuki, half asleep, mumbled that she was hungry but could not deal with the food. When Hatsuki drifted right back to sleep, Minato panicked and wondered what he was supposed to do with the untouched meal now. Looking at Hatsuki's peaceful sleeping face, Minato admitted to himself that she looked unbelievably cute, just as she did when awake. As he stared at her sleeping form, Minato confessed inwardly that his reasons for staying close to Hatsuki were not exactly innocent. He then admitted that by now, anyone would have noticed his feelings were tangled up with confusion and selfishness. Standing over the bed, Minato looked down at Hatsuki and all of a sudden remembered her earlier joke, finally understanding what she had really implied. He realized her talk about going after someone in their sleep might not have been a joke at all, and if anyone crossed the line now, it would be him. Even as he tried to calm himself by thinking he should step back, his thoughts only spiraled further. Hatsuki stayed fast asleep and completely unaware, which only made Minato more afraid of where his own thoughts were heading. As his hand moved toward the edge of the bed, Minato froze and anxiously wondered what he was even about to do. Hatsuki stirred with a small sound, stopping Minato at the exact instant he was about to cross the line. She sat up, noticed exactly where his attention had been, and coolly asked whether he had stared long enough. Minato apologized at once in a panic, while Hatsuki noted in surprise that he had actually been the one to make things strange first. She then admitted that she had been planning to test his reaction while he was distracted, revealing she had been pushing him too. When Minato nervously asked whether she was angry, Hatsuki puffed up and made it obvious that yes, she absolutely was. Minato realized she had every right to be upset, then tried to steady himself by thinking that he and Hatsuki were only friends, not a couple. Hatsuki, red with embarrassment, asked why he was acting so bold with her now when he was usually much more careful. Flustered, she explained that if it had been him, she might not have made a big deal of that much because she sometimes fell asleep by accident. Hearing that, Minato wondered in disbelief whether Hatsuki had forgiven him even more easily than she would have forgiven a real boyfriend. Then he remembered she had changed earlier, and when he asked about it, Hatsuki matter-of-factly said she had gotten more comfortable at home, leaving him stunned by how casually she said it. Hatsuki calmly explained that she simply did not feel comfortable that way, which only confused Minato more. She went on to say that whenever she came here, she relaxed almost right away and usually never even mentioned it, while Minato shrank into himself and wondered if saying anything now would make him sound twisted. Overwhelmed and flustered, Minato blurted out a shameless request to know more, exposing just how badly his self-control had cracked. Hatsuki calmly reminded him that he had already made things awkward enough, then asked if he really wanted to keep going, pushing all the pressure back onto him. Minato defensively admitted that any guy would be curious, then complained that Hatsuki was all of a sudden using that against him now. Hatsuki fired back that no normal friend would ever ask something like that, making his excuse sound even worse. Minato weakly argued that he could never ask a normal girl, but thought maybe he could ask a close female friend. Hatsuki right away cut through that logic by asking whether he could really still call her just a friend after saying something like that. Minato insisted he did not want to keep hiding what he was thinking, and claimed that friends were supposed to help with things like this, pushing the whole conversation somewhere dangerous. As Hatsuki directly asked whether he truly wanted to know, Minato eagerly said he did, making it clear he was done pretending. Hatsuki noticed how serious Minato had become, and the air between them tightened at once. After a small blush, she finally gave in and told him fine, but only this once. Minato lit up in disbelief, like he had just been handed something impossible. Hatsuki instantly called him out, saying his eyes were shining even brighter than when he played games. Minato leaned in without hiding it, already thinking a chance like this might never come again. That stare hit harder than she expected, and Hatsuki nervously told him he was looking way too intensely. Minato apologized, then awkwardly asked if she could show a little more, and Hatsuki called him unbelievably demanding. Shaken by how eager he looked, Hatsuki asked if he was really that happy from seeing only that much. Minato answered yes without hesitation, and Hatsuki sounded honestly stunned by how serious he was. When Hatsuki asked what he wanted now, Minato claimed he was not staring that much, but the excuse only made it worse. Hatsuki awkwardly suggested he should just take a photo, and Minato froze at what she was implying. Hatsuki complained that it was unfair for only Minato to see something so embarrassing, and Minato realized she meant her shorts. She compared it to a girl in a uniform with short bottoms walking ahead of someone and said noticing was almost unavoidable, then bluntly asked if that made Minato a creep too. As Hatsuki pressed him on why he was so fixated on looking there, Minato faltered and barely found his voice. Red with embarrassment, Hatsuki admitted she was already pushing herself enough by showing him this much, and said that if he insisted, he should at least take a picture. Minato hesitated, knowing that if he really did that, he would look even more shameless. Trying to steady himself, he asked whether anyone had ever photographed Hatsuki like this before. Hatsuki said some awful people had secretly taken inappropriate pictures before, and warned that once images like that reached the internet, they could never truly be erased. Then she pointed out that what Minato was doing now was basically the same, and the words landed hard. Seeing the phone in his hand, Hatsuki demanded to know what he would do if it got posted online, and Minato felt panic rush through him. Minato quickly insisted he would never do that, scrambling to reject even the thought. He then admitted that catching an accidental glimpse from behind had felt even more embarrassing, and the tension only thickened. Minato pointed out that Hatsuki had turned in a way that revealed too much and blamed her very short skirt for letting it happen. Hatsuki bent down and casually explained that she normally wore shorts underneath, acting like it was nothing despite her embarrassment. Looking at his phone in shock, Minato realized that even knowing Hatsuki was beautiful had not prepared him for how startling the moment would feel. Flustered and red-faced, Hatsuki complained that it was unfair for only Minato to get something out of this and demanded that he show her something embarrassing too. Minato apologized at once, and Hatsuki admitted she was embarrassed too, saying she would have died if he had actually taken the photo. Still rattled, Minato thought it would have been better if a female friend had taken the picture instead, and Hatsuki right away brought up Serena. The story introduced Ruka Serena as a top honor student with long straight black hair and the most outstanding girl in their class. Minato reflected that Serena was neat and talented, making it almost impossible to imagine someone like her having a strange hobby like taking awkward pictures. Hatsuki abruptly told Minato to forget what she had just said, trying to cut off the conversation before it got any stranger. Sitting across from each other on the bed, Hatsuki remarked that this game was surprisingly interesting, and Minato questioned whether it could still even be called a game. Hatsuki teased that Minato had turned out even more shameless than she expected, and told him to stop acting like a little kid. Minato admitted he felt a little guilty about getting dragged into something improper with a female friend, but still tried to pass it off as harmless fun. Looking at him seriously, Hatsuki called his name and asked if he was still stuck on those inappropriate thoughts. Minato hurriedly denied it, but Hatsuki warned him not to get carried away and reminded him again that she was not his girlfriend. Minato said he understood, and Hatsuki added that she still hoped they could keep getting along, leaving him with nowhere to look. With a soft smile, Hatsuki suggested that maybe fooling around like this was actually good for them. Later at school, one boy asked Minato if he had enjoyed the game, while another said his sister had been playing it for a while and that plenty of girls liked it too. That same boy added that his sister had been acting strange lately because all she ever did was play, and Minato awkwardly protested that he was making it sound suspicious. Serena Ruka politely stepped in, apologized, and told Minato not to worry because she believed he was a good person. Minato recognized Serena and awkwardly greeted her, caught off guard that the class star had approached him alone. Serena asked if she could speak with him about Aoi Hatsuki, and Minato nervously confirmed that she meant Hatsuki. Serena admitted that Hatsuki had been acting strangely lately, and Minato right away asked what she meant by that. Blushing hard, Serena revealed that Hatsuki had been asking her to let Minato take embarrassing photos of her. Minato stared at Serena in shock and thought about how she was admired by everyone, an exceptional honor student who seemed almost untouchably pure. In the quiet hallway, Serena apologized again for interrupting him and insisted that what she had cut into earlier was not important. Still flustered, Serena hesitantly returned to the unsettling topic she had brought up. She confirmed that it really had sounded like Hatsuki wanted Minato to take those inappropriate photos of her. Minato ran a hand through his hair in disbelief and thought that carefree Hatsuki had seriously asked for something that outrageous. Serena said Hatsuki had laughed at first, but her eyes had looked serious and she could not understand why Hatsuki would ask for something so humiliating. Minato faltered, then said he would ask Hatsuki himself, suggesting it might have been some private joke that outsiders would not understand. Serena nervously insisted that Hatsuki would normally never do something like that and that she could not believe Hatsuki wanted embarrassing photos taken. After a pause, Serena shyly asked Minato if he could do her a favor. Still confused, Minato asked what Serena wanted from him. Before Serena could explain, Aoi Hatsuki all of a sudden appeared behind her and tugged at her skirt, catching her completely off guard. Serena jolted in shock and let out a panicked scream as she realized what had just happened. Hatsuki casually pointed out that Serena still had something underneath, while Serena turned red and cried out at Hatsuki in humiliation. Minato could only stand there in stunned silence as the sudden chaos broke open in front of him. Flustered but forcing herself through it, Serena called Hatsuki by name and argued that no matter how long a skirt was, going without proper layers underneath was still a bad idea. Serena quickly insisted she was wearing proper layers, and the scene grows awkward with no easy escape. Hatsuki argued that if a stranger ever saw anything, it would still look inappropriate, so to her the difference hardly mattered. Serena shyly explained that sporty shorts did not suit her, so she had looked for another option, though those items were not commonly sold anymore. As the image in her own mind grew even more humiliating, Serena admitted few people used them now and said she was not even sure they suited her, insisting they were not something to show anyone. Minato was all of a sudden dragged into it when Serena bluntly suggested that someone with his interest should be pleased, and he right away stumbled into an apology. Minato admitted he had seen them, and Serena awkwardly told him it was not his fault because she was already used to Hatsuki's recklessness, though she still looked shaken. Hatsuki all of a sudden leaned in with a mischievous smile and asked Serena if she would do it again. But Serena refused instantly. Before Serena could get away, Hatsuki moved close to her face and teasingly told her not to be mad because she looked adorable when flustered. Serena panicked and called out for Hatsuki to stop, while Hatsuki casually told her to wait. Hatsuki then looked puzzled and asked what exactly the two of them thought had just happened. Serena nervously tried to change the subject and asked whether Hatsuki and Minato had been getting along lately, and Hatsuki answered with calm indifference. Hatsuki all of a sudden pulled Serena and Minato closer and cheerfully proposed that the three of them spend time together, leaving both of them visibly flustered. She insisted that since Serena was her friend, she wanted Minato and Serena to get along too, while the other two could only stare in confusion. As they stepped inside, the awkward mood followed them, and both guests politely excused themselves. Serena admired Aoi-san's home, and the moment becomes overwhelming and emotionally difficult. Looking over the old house, Serena said she had heard it once belonged to a samurai family and wondered if it had looked even more impressive before. Minato admitted this was his first time inside too, despite living nearby, and the moment becomes too heavy for either of them to ignore. Hatsuki went to get drinks, and when she laughed in an oddly refined way, Minato right away called out how unnatural it sounded. Keeping up the act, Hatsuki offered Minato curry as if it were a drink, making the whole question sound ridiculous. In Hatsuki's room, Minato remarked that it was beautiful just like Aoi-san herself, and Serena added that it was unexpectedly neat too. Serena admitted she was surprised Hatsuki had invited her over, since she had always thought Hatsuki was not the type to bring people to her house. Minato awkwardly said he also did not know many classmates who would visit Hatsuki's home, while Serena noted that from what she had heard before, that did sound unusual. Serena explained that there were students from the same apartment floor who also attended their school. Minato nervously confirmed that Hatsuki had mentioned that situation earlier in the spring. Serena quickly connected the timing and asked if they had moved in around when classes began. Sensing Minato's tension, Serena paused and asked if something was wrong. Minato repeated the timing to himself and asked whether Serena had learned about it during that same spring. As Minato turned it over in his mind, he realized that period was right after the school year had started. Hatsuki came back carrying cold soda, while Minato privately remembered that she had known he lived on the same floor even before she first approached him. Minato bluntly asked where the tea was, and when Serena said soda was fine, the focus stayed on Minato's growing suspicion. Hatsuki brushed off Minato's complaint and insisted that soda was good no matter who served it, acting like he should be grateful. With a mischievous smile, Hatsuki all of a sudden suggested they play with Serena, leaving Serena startled and unsure what she meant. Serena noticed Hatsuki was wearing bloomers under her skirt and pointed it out right away. Looking embarrassed, Hatsuki admitted that bloomers still felt strange to her and asked if they really were not weird. Minato hurriedly said they were not weird at all, then made it worse by nervously pointing out that they were just extra layers with more coverage. Hatsuki stared at him and teasingly concluded that he seemed far too excited by the subject. Flustered, Minato protested that he was only reacting because Hatsuki had brought it up in the first place. Smirking, Hatsuki argued that if he really thought it was normal, then noticing them from the start should not have bothered him, and Minato had no answer. Hatsuki dramatically declared Minato a liar to an imaginary audience, while Minato shot back in embarrassment and asked who she was even talking to. As the mood turned awkward, Serena quietly said that bloomers might not suit her, and Hatsuki right away suggested showing them to Minato for his opinion. Hatsuki teased that Minato obviously wanted to know too, and he denied it so fast it only made him look guiltier. Hatsuki pushed harder, saying he had to be curious for another look, while Minato's weak denial only deepened the suspicion. Serena shyly admitted she wanted to see if she could do it, then hesitantly called out to Minato. Panicking, Minato hurriedly apologized and told Hatsuki to stop saying such absurd things. Serena offered to let Hatsuki look first and even have Minato comment too, leaving both of them cornered at once. Hatsuki reassured Serena that if she was wearing bloomers, there was nothing to fear, though Serena still did not sound convinced. As Serena nervously adjusted her skirt, she asked if it was too plain to matter, and Minato could only watch in flustered silence. Serena timidly lifted the fabric just enough for Minato and Hatsuki to see, clearly fighting through her embarrassment. Her face went bright red, making it obvious how overwhelmed and exposed she felt. Serena anxiously asked if they looked strange, and Hatsuki gently told her to turn a little toward Minato as he gave a quiet, hesitant answer. Minato realized the bloomers Serena Ruka was showing them were white, and that detail threw him even more off balance. Blushing hard, Serena Ruka nervously pointed out how strange and awkward the whole thing had become. Aoi Hatsuki right away pushed for more, and Minato got carried along enough to urge Serena Ruka on too, tightening the pressure around her. Then Minato noticed the time and abruptly said it was already late and he should go home, while Hatsuki groaned at the terrible timing. Serena Ruka quietly saw them off as Hatsuki and Minato headed out. Then a message reached Minato telling him dinner was ready. Wearing an apron, Hatsuki smugly told him he could beg and cry for the homemade food she had prepared, clearly enjoying the joke. Minato froze and repeated the words homemade food as if he could not believe what he had heard. Hatsuki proudly revealed homemade yakisoba, homemade okonomiyaki, and a few convenient extras while still insisting it all counted as homemade. With the food set before them, Minato agreed to eat before it got cold and reached for his chopsticks. Hatsuki cheerfully told Minato to enjoy the meal as they sat down together. Hatsuki happily tried the yakisoba, and her unstable state pushes the situation to the edge. Minato hesitated and admitted it was far beyond just a little spicy, wondering how anyone could eat it like this. Tears welled in Minato's eyes from the heat, and the change inside her becomes harder to suppress. Hatsuki teasingly challenged him, hinting that maybe he just could not handle spicy food. Stung by that remark, Minato rushed to finish it all, while Hatsuki protested that he was even stealing her share. The spice hit Hatsuki just as hard, and when Minato offered her water, she admitted she may have gone too far and accepted it gratefully. Once the chaos finally died down, Minato asked why Hatsuki had invited Serena in the first place. Hatsuki openly admitted she invited Serena because she thought Minato wanted to see that kind of clothing on her too, exposing her real motive at last. Minato bluntly concluded that those bloomers were dangerously distracting, and Hatsuki stared back in shocked disbelief. Hatsuki argued that only the slightest glimpse had shown and insisted it had barely revealed anything. She then pressed Minato, asking if even that was still not enough for him, and reminded him that he had already seen Serena in an even more embarrassing situation. Flustered, Minato insisted that had been an accident, and begged Hatsuki not to tell Serena about it. Hatsuki replied there was no need to say anything because Serena probably would not care much anyway, and that answer stunned him. She casually suggested that now that he and the interaction takes a turn neither of them expected, trying to recover, and the moment becomes awkward and difficult to ignore. Hatsuki said she had not even been thinking about their friendship, and the scene shifts into uncomfortable territory. Hearing that, Hatsuki quietly concluded that Minato planned to get even closer to Serena than he should. Minato admitted the look in Hatsuki's eyes was a little scary, while she denied it and muttered that boys really were drawn to girls like that. Hatsuki then declared that next time there would be no need to fuss over bloomers because they could invite Serena again and compare appearances instead, leaving Minato rattled by the sudden competitiveness in her voice. Hatsuki noticed Minato staring at her and shyly asked him to stop looking so intensely. She then apologized, but added that if he wanted a final answer about what he had seen, he had to ask properly instead of acting strangely. After a long pause, Hatsuki awkwardly urged him to say it if he really wanted to know. Hatsuki leaned closer and pressed him for an answer, while Minato desperately begged her to stop. Overwhelmed, Minato dropped to his knees and blurted out that he wanted clarity, leaving Hatsuki stunned by how direct he had become. Minato admitted that her demand for honesty had pushed him much farther than he ever expected. He then openly begged Hatsuki to explain herself, and her shock only deepened. Blushing, Hatsuki quietly decided that it could not be helped. Nervous and embarrassed, Hatsuki started adjusting her shirt while trying to steady her breathing. She revealed only a small, and the situation becomes awkward. Hatsuki blushed furiously, and the interaction becomes difficult to navigate. Standing in front of Minato, she firmly warned that she would not go any further. Minato stared in disbelief and repeated her condition, making the tension spike again. From across the room, Hatsuki told him not to make that face, trying to keep some control over the awkward scene. Flustered but resigned, Hatsuki allowed him one very brief extra glance and stressed that it would only be for a moment. As Minato kept staring, Hatsuki shyly asked him not to look so intensely. Minato hesitated, then asked for a little more time and clearly wanted to keep looking, while Hatsuki checked if the second was already over. Hatsuki looked aside with a deep blush, her embarrassment rising as she realized Minato still wanted more. After a long pause, Hatsuki nervously offered to let him come a little closer, showing how overwhelmed she had become. Minato right away begged Hatsuki to let him see more, pushing things even further. Flushed and still embarrassed, Hatsuki gave in a little and said she could allow it, but only within limits. Trying to stay in control, Hatsuki raised a finger and firmly told Minato it would be just a little. Then the mood snapped in a completely different direction as Hatsuki threw herself onto the bed and hurried back to a handheld game. Minato looked over in confusion and wondered if she was really going to handle it like this. Caught up in the game, Hatsuki panicked and asked what she was supposed to do, then read out the instructions saying to roll 3 times if her character caught fire. She followed the advice, calmed down, and confirmed with relief that the fire was gone. A moment later, Hatsuki cried out that she had been hit again, while Minato tried to get through to her. Minato pointed out that the monster was attacking her ally and told her not to panic and just heal. Hatsuki reacted with impressed surprise and praised Minato's advice as she focused on the screen. As the game kept punishing her, she complained that this one was hard and wondered if Legendus had been easier. Hatsuki compared it to a monster battle instead of player versus player, and slowly realized that fighting real people was a completely different kind of pressure. As she kept getting hit, Hatsuki complained that the non-stop attacks felt unfair, then realized monsters followed patterns while human opponents could hide their moves. Minato urged her to attack first and promised she would be fine, but Hatsuki panicked, said she was finished, and then dramatically declared that she had already collapsed. Minato told her one loss was not a big deal and urged her to try again, while Hatsuki steadied herself and said she needed to do something first. When Minato moved his hands too carelessly, Hatsuki snapped in embarrassment and told him to show some restraint. Minato tried to calm her by saying she could let him do as much as she wanted after the game, and Hatsuki quietly repeated that limit to herself. Minato admitted that in the confusion he had somehow even helped move aside her blouse and cardigan, while Hatsuki brushed it off by saying the clothes had only been in her way anyway. Overwhelmed by everything happening, Minato muttered that girls like Hatsuki were incredible. Looking at him with a calm but heated expression, Hatsuki noticed that Minato was about to ask for even more. Before Minato could say it, Hatsuki shut him down right away and firmly said no, making it clear she had never agreed to that. Hatsuki blushed and pointed out that Minato was obviously thinking something inappropriate. Minato desperately begged for more, but Hatsuki instantly rejected him and killed the request. Even as Minato kept pleading, Hatsuki firmly repeated that the answer was still no. At school, Serena appeared and all of a sudden asked to take Minato with her, catching both boys completely off guard. Hatsuki questioned the sudden plan and reminded Serena that they had already agreed to spend time together that day. Serena apologized to Hatsuki, said she was borrowing Minato, and promised to return him tomorrow. As Serena led him away, Minato asked where they were going, but she only said there was somewhere she wanted to visit. They arrived to find Hatsuki already waiting there, and Minato froze when he realized she had come too. Serena greeted both Aoi-san and Minato-kun, then nervously admitted she felt out of place and worried that just standing there would draw attention. They took the train to the location, and once they arrived, Serena awkwardly admitted that entering the place alone had felt too difficult for her. Outside the shop, and the situation shifts into territory no one prepared for. As Serena hesitated at the entrance, Minato urged her to go in with him first so she could feel at ease, then awkwardly offered to stay close. Serena right away accepted and thanked him, while Minato was left stunned by how quickly she agreed. The moment takes an uncomfortable turn. Minato noticed that Serena seemed completely different from how she acted at school, and that open excitement caught him off guard. Serena shyly asked Minato for advice, confirming that he played games on his PC too and asking what parts she should buy for FPS games. Minato told her that if she wanted to play games, she should start with a good graphics card, and Serena quickly noticed how many new and expensive models had appeared. As they kept browsing, the discussion shifted into rising prices, changing standards, and technical details like motherboard slots and whether the case interior needed to match perfectly. The conversation drifted into practical versus aesthetic choices, with Minato and Serena enthusiastically debating cooling and lighting, while Hatsuki stood between them wearing a strange expression that Minato noticed right away. Seeing Hatsuki's reaction, Serena all of a sudden realized she might have gone too far and nervously pulled back. Serena nervously asked whether Hatsuki had gotten bored after being dragged through all that PC shopping. Hatsuki denied it at once and insisted she did not feel that way at all. Minato awkwardly said Hatsuki had been acting strange, then admitted he was only surprised because he had never seen this side of Serena before, and Serena quickly brushed it off as nothing important. Overjoyed, Serena hugged her purchase close and thought that her dream had finally come true. As they left the store, Serena reflected on how expensive PC parts were and said that even one component could cost a frightening amount. Minato explained that there were cheaper versions of the same parts, while Hatsuki listened beside them with quiet interest. The scene shifted to a tidy room, hinting at the next stop after their shopping trip. Hatsuki casually admitted she had forgotten to make tea, then jokingly apologized for her poor hospitality as she slipped into her refined girl act. In the room, Serena addressed Aoi-san and quietly declared that she would make the tea today. Showing the Earl Grey she had bought earlier, Serena revealed that this was the black tea she had chosen, and Hatsuki finally understood why she had bought it. Serena said she would be relying on Hatsuki again, and Hatsuki accepted without hesitation. Minato asked Hatsuki whether Serena was smart, and Hatsuki explained that Serena ranked at the very top of the class. Hatsuki pointed out that Minato could have asked Serena to teach him instead of asking her. Minato agreed, but said Serena was not really the type who could teach others well. Hatsuki explained that Serena tended to treat wrong answers as close enough, and even gave partial credit just for neat handwriting. Minato said he could picture that all too easily. When Minato seemed to read too much into it, Hatsuki brushed it aside and said it was only because Serena was too smart. Hatsuki then admitted that if she had not asked Minato to tutor her back then, things might have turned out differently. She moved closer and told Minato that having him teach her was exactly what she had wanted, while Minato awkwardly apologized for his painfully average grades. As Minato began to mope, Hatsuki told him not to sulk because Serena would need time, then playfully flustered him and left him even more embarrassed. Minato all of a sudden realized how terrible the situation sounded and warned that they had no idea when Serena would come back. Hatsuki teasingly pressed him, pointing out that he had denied it before while still getting too close, and she shoved him deeper into embarrassment. When Minato reacted too, all of a sudden, Hatsuki complained that he was being rough, then mockingly asked whether shopping alone with two girls had really gone to his head that much. Minato awkwardly fumbled with the situation and asked if this was really how he was supposed to handle it. Hatsuki shamelessly teased that he seemed tired of the usual attention and claimed there was no one else around for him to depend on but her. Minato, still overwhelmed, blurted out that if he wanted to ask something that unreasonable, Serena would never agree to it. Hatsuki quickly warned him to lower his voice because Serena might hear, then added that Serena might still go along with it if he begged hard enough. Both of them froze and tried to speak at once when they realized someone had heard everything. Serena appeared in the doorway, blushing as she quietly admitted that she had already heard it all. Flustered but sincere, Serena told Minato that she did want to help him, then awkwardly asked if what he wanted was some kind of comfort from her. Hatsuki poked Minato's cheek and told him to answer Serena honestly, then praised him for staying mentally strong while he nearly folded under the pressure. Serena shyly asked if Minato and Hatsuki were dating, and Minato quickly denied it and said they were only friends. Hatsuki jumped in and casually claimed that this was just the sort of thing male and female friends talked about for fun, adding that she had only been listening to Minato's concerns as a friend. Serena tried to make sense of that explanation and quietly repeated that they were just friends, though she still looked unconvinced. As the mood stayed tight, Serena admitted that she was starting to feel overwhelmed and left behind by what she was hearing. Serena steadied herself and faced them directly, clearly trying to understand what kind of closeness they were treating as normal. After hearing enough, Serena timidly said that if it was only a small gesture of reassurance, she did not mind helping Minato a little, leaving Hatsuki stunned. Hatsuki right away protested and told Serena not to force herself, but Serena tried to deny that pressure had anything to do with it. Serena confessed that Minato was her first friend and that she had never known friends could act like this, exposing just how confused and earnest she was. Minato awkwardly admitted that, in a way, he and Serena really did get along, while Hatsuki watched with visible concern as the atmosphere shifted again. Minato hesitantly asked Serena if she was truly serious, and she quietly confirmed that she was. As Minato accepted her offer, he was overwhelmed and internally compared Serena to Hatsuki, fixating on the difference as he lost himself in the moment. Serena shyly admitted that she felt embarrassed because she did not compare to Aoi-san, but Hatsuki firmly told her that was nothing to be ashamed of. A week later, the strange tension between them still had not fully faded. Minato was all of a sudden hit with shock, reacting as if he had just heard something impossible. He tried to play it off and said it was obvious, then asked why the topic had become so serious so all of a sudden. Sitting across from him, Hatsuki directly brought up how lately he had been asking for increasingly personal favors, leaving him no room to dodge. Hatsuki pressed him further and asked what he was really thinking when it came to a girl's private boundaries, clearly demanding the truth. Minato bluntly admitted that being around girls like them only made him want more closeness and even keepsakes, and Hatsuki dryly dismissed that answer as pathetic. When Minato reached toward her again, Hatsuki stopped him right away, while Serena quietly added that even she understood this had already gone too far. Minato caught himself acting awkward and told Hatsuki he would not ask for anything strange while she was studying because he needed her focused. The story shifted into exam season, explaining that their high school had 3 semesters a year and that midterms were closing in. Minato decided he needed to prepare seriously too, especially after spending so much of summer break with Hatsuki. He thought about Hatsuki and noted that, despite hating studying, she hardly studied at all. Minato pointed out that she did not even pay attention in class, then added that her notebooks and textbooks were still strangely neat, while Hatsuki brushed it off as something everyone around her did. As Hatsuki argued that everyone was different, Minato wondered why someone with such a bright and cheerful personality still could not get better grades. He answered his own question by telling her that, as the class queen, people would eventually leave her behind if she stayed that foolish. Hatsuki fell silent at that blunt warning, and the mood turned serious in an instant. Flushed and uneasy, Hatsuki asked if he would still stay by her side even if that happened. Her vulnerable question caught Minato off guard, and when he asked what she meant, Hatsuki right away hid her feelings and claimed it was nothing. Hatsuki clasped her hands together and seriously asked Minato to help her at least reach an average score on the exam. Minato looked troubled and admitted that her goal was surprisingly low, though he did not turn her down. As they sat together to study, Minato reminded her that his own grades were only a little above average, while Hatsuki snapped back as if he were provoking her. Hatsuki insisted that even so, Minato was still the best person to teach her, and his denial did nothing to shake her. Embarrassed by her own humility, Hatsuki was called out for asking him so directly, despite usually acting like the class queen. Minato clarified that being a queen and being a friend were completely different, and admitted he did not see her that way at all. When Serena came up, Hatsuki pointed out that although they were friends, Serena was not very good at teaching, and Minato quietly understood. Hatsuki added that she also did not want Serena to feel left out just because teaching was not her strength, and Minato accepted that reason. She further explained that Serena came from a strict household, so even going out under the excuse of studying could cause trouble, making Minato finally see the situation clearly. When Hatsuki teasingly accused him of having impure motives towards Serena based on his earlier behavior, Minato flustered and denied it right away. The next day, a dark-haired girl reported that Hatsuki still felt the after effects from yesterday, and Minato was left shaken by how far things had apparently gone. Another girl worried that Hatsuki was too naive to be okay, while Minato awkwardly noted that Hatsuki had sounded almost pleased despite it being her first experience. Minato cut off the dangerous topic and firmly said they should stop dwelling on it and focus on studying, and Hatsuki accepted him as her teacher. Sitting in Hatsuki's room, she invited Minato to stay late without worrying about her getting home, and even suggested they could have studied somewhere more casual instead. Minato hesitated, but told her they should just begin, because staying out too late would only ruin their concentration. They settled across the low table and seriously worked through the material together as the study session finally began. After some time passed, Minato noticed it was already 10 at night, and Hatsuki timidly asked if they had done enough. Hatsuki stretched in relief and admitted she had never studied this much in her life, while Minato decided they should stop for the day. Beaming with pride, Hatsuki asked if she had done well, and Minato promised to praise her if she could score at least average on the test. Hatsuki puffed her cheeks and complained that Minato was being really strict, though she still looked pleased by the attention. Hatsuki reminded Minato that he had promised her a reward if she reached an average score, and after all her effort, she eagerly expected him to keep that promise. When Minato questioned her, Hatsuki pointed out that people often went to karaoke after studying, treating it like the obvious next step. Growing more excited, Hatsuki proposed that they go to Tealand together instead. Minato realized from her tone that she clearly wanted to have fun with him. As she talked about spending the night after skipping school and hanging out at a friend's place, Minato was caught off guard by how casually she suggested staying over somewhere. Seeing his reaction, Hatsuki protested that he was the one thinking strangely, and insisted they were only going to have innocent fun like she did with her other friends. Minato hesitated and quietly pushed back against her calling those other friends cherry friends. Hatsuki then shyly asked whether he would mind going out with her, and her softer voice left Minato flustered. The two then awkwardly acknowledged that couples who went there together were said to break up. They reflected that breakups could also happen when two people had different levels of excitement for the park, or grew irritated by crowds and awkward silence and long lines. Hatsuki insisted that staying out all night in one place made more sense, since paying for separate rooms would be expensive. She then casually suggested that they could even stay in the same room because there would be two beds, leaving Minato speechless. Minato awkwardly apologized and blurted out a defensive joke, while Hatsuki called him out for acting as if he was embarrassed by the idea of seeing her in casual clothes. Hatsuki firmly refused any inappropriate request for the day, but admitted she was used to a close female friend being around like that and challenged Minato for even bringing it up. Even so, she clarified that if his request was not improper, she was willing to hear what he wanted. Hearing that, Minato decided he should ask in a way that would not count as inappropriate. While they sat together studying, Hatsuki repeated that she would not allow anything inappropriate today, though she said other requests were fine. She reminded Minato that she had worked hard at studying despite how strict he had been, making it clear that she expected some kind of reward. Minato said there was no need to blame anyone because he was only teaching a friend, and insisted he was not actually that shameless. Hatsuki looked at him with interest and responded as if she wanted him to keep talking. Minato muttered that it almost felt like Hatsuki had backed him into asking, and Hatsuki denied it on reflex, so flustered she nearly shut down. Minato admitted his thoughts kept drifting somewhere they should not go, and Hatsuki fired back that this was exactly how boys were. Hatsuki told him that if he ever got a girlfriend, he better not rush her or push too far, then added that his chances did not look great. Then she insisted she wanted nothing from him and told him to stop staying up with his phone, go home, shower, and sleep, making Minato grumble that she sounded exactly like his mother. Hatsuki quietly warned that he might regret letting this chance slip away, while Minato claimed he was already exhausted and acted like that settled it. Watching his face and the scene grows awkward with no easy escape, Hatsuki leaned in to check for herself, and the sudden closeness stole every word he had left. At that distance, Hatsuki softly admitted she did not really understand it either, like her own feelings were starting to come undone. Her face reddened as she tried to tell herself it would probably be fine, but the moment had already shaken her. In the end, both of them were left frozen in silence, rattled by how close they had come. Minato nervously asked whether that kind of closeness would count as something improper, and the air changed instantly. As the tension sharpened, he edged a little closer, testing whether Hatsuki would really allow that much. Minato carefully asked again, still unsure whether crossing that line would go against what she had just said. Hatsuki blushed furiously and tried to play it off, but her reaction gave everything away. After a long, suffocating pause, Hatsuki quietly gave in and said he could. She hurriedly added that it would be only once, and Minato accepted that without pushing. Even while trembling, Hatsuki told herself that, if it happened only once, maybe she could endure it. Minato moved in slowly, and the situation shifts into territory no one prepared for. Minato came close, and the shock of it swallowed them both whole. The moment lasted long enough to leave them frozen in place, breathless and overwhelmed by what had just happened. Hatsuki flushed and admitted it had gone on so long she thought she might pass out, while Minato awkwardly reminded her that she had only allowed one. She snapped back in embarrassment and protested that he could not call that just one after getting way too carried away. When Minato pointed out that it had lasted more than 5 minutes, Hatsuki could only confess that she had completely lost track of time. Still dazed, Hatsuki muttered that, so this was what it felt like, then awkwardly insisted it was somehow easier to handle than the other things he had asked before. When she tried to stand, her legs gave out, and she quietly admitted she could not move as Minato rushed toward her. Still red and staring ahead, Hatsuki repeated that if she could not move like this, then, gathering herself, she shyly explained that she probably would not be able to stop him if he tried anything now. Minato froze, confused, and asked Hatsuki what she meant by that. After a heavy silence, Hatsuki told him she would not mind one more moment like that, but asked him to hold back a little this time. With only inches between them again, Hatsuki nervously asked Minato to be careful, and he softly checked if she was truly sure. Minato realized that once things got this intense with a girl like Hatsuki, there was no way it would end with just one. Time passed, and both Minato and Hatsuki made it through their midterms without trouble. Later, Hatsuki watched with concern as a girl happily devoured cake after cake like nothing in the world mattered more. After school, they ended up at a bakery tucked into one corner of a massive shopping mall. The table was soon buried under Mont Blanc, rare cheesecake, strawberry tart, opera mill crepe, and more, enough to look absurd. When someone asked whether she could really blame her for eating this much after karaoke, the answer came that she had been the one singing for almost all of it. On the last day of midterms, classes ended, and everyone was free to head home that afternoon. Wanting to celebrate, and the situation becomes awkward. Even though Serena insisted singing in front of people was not her thing, the others reminded her that she sounded great in music class and that almost everyone wanted to hear her. When someone noticed she was still eating and asked if she had skipped food at karaoke, she casually replied that it was already lunchtime, so of course she was eating now. Minato was stunned that she had already finished more than 3 cakes, and he blurted out that she still was not full. Hazuki joked that maybe all the energy had to go somewhere, and Minato right away tried to shut that down because they were in public. Minato admitted she was not wrong, but Hazuki insisted the cakes were simply too good to resist. Serena shyly agreed and said the cakes were very sweet, but honestly delicious. As they sat there together, Minato quietly wondered if it was really okay for them to be sneaking away like this. Hazuki guessed that he and Serena had wanted to escape the karaoke room, so she declared that she had simply followed them, leaving Minato thrown off. Minato worried that Hazuki had her own group of friends and feared they might start getting suspicious after seeing her spend so much time with him. Hazuki pointed out that it was rare for Serena to join them at all, and Serena nervously explained that she had wanted to do what she could to fit in. Out of nowhere, Hazuki suggested they go shopping next and casually claimed she could tell Serena's tastes just by looking at what she wore, leaving Minato confused. Hazuki bluntly said that white was probably Serena's color, and when Serena innocently offered to go with them if they wanted, Minato panicked while Hazuki quickly clarified that was not what she meant. Minato nervously asked if it was really okay for Aoi Hatsuki to bring that up while Serena was right there, then wondered why she was acting as if they shared the same secret. When Serena started to answer, Aoi Hatsuki quickly covered her mouth before she could make things even worse. Aoi Hatsuki apologized and said they should just shop together, while Serena timidly admitted she did not have many outfits to choose from. Aoi Hatsuki pushed Serena toward trying a miniskirt, insisting it would suit her and that white or blue fit her well, while Serena shyly argued that her legs were shorter, bright colors did not suit her, and Aoi should buy one instead. To crush that self-criticism, Aoi Hatsuki pinched her cheeks and insisted there was nothing plain about her because she was cute and had clear style, leaving Serena flustered. Right in the middle of that teasing, Aoi Hatsuki all of a sudden stepped away and said she needed to take a call. Left alone with Serena, Minato awkwardly brought up Aoi Hatsuki's exams, and Serena replied that since he had been teaching her, Aoi would surely be fine. Minato admitted it would have helped if Serena had taught too, but added that her strict curfew made a study group impossible. Serena confirmed that the curfew was real, yet she also said she had studied with Aoi Hatsuki before, then quietly realized that helping Minato as a friend should have been possible too. As that contradiction settled in, Minato sensed something off, because Aoi Hatsuki had said she could not bring Serena into the study group even though she had treated him very differently before. Serena Ruka explained that she was not good at teaching others, so she believed Minato had made the right choice by tutoring Aoi Hatsuki instead. Aoi Hatsuki returned and apologized for disappearing so, all of a sudden, and Minato understood that Serena would naturally have felt uneasy. As they discussed what to do next, Aoi Hatsuki suggested pizza or grilled meat, and Minato was stunned that she was still thinking about food after all that cake. Then the clock caught up to them, and Aoi Hatsuki reminded them they had to decide soon because Serena had a curfew. Minato revealed that his parents had given him an extra hour since exams were over, making Serena realize that changed things. Hearing that, Serena shyly suggested they eat at Aoi Hatsuki's place instead. Aoi Hatsuki agreed that it made sense because eating out could make them lose track of time and risk running into other students. Still, Aoi Hatsuki warned Serena that if they went to her place, they would probably end up with instant food. Serena gratefully offered to make dinner herself, clearly wanting to help instead of imposing. Later, Serena appeared in an apron and nervously asked them not to expect too much, admitting she could only make ordinary meals. Minato was amazed that someone was actually cooking in his house, and he awkwardly caught himself staring at Serena Ruka in an apron. Minato asked whether Serena Ruka was really sure she did not need any help. Serena Ruka confidently told them to leave it to her. Serena Ruka said it would be easier if she cooked alone so she could focus, and she accepted their offer to let her handle everything. Minato felt a quiet happiness as he realized he was about to eat a meal cooked by a friend, especially one as graceful as Serena Ruka. Aoi Hatsuki admitted she was jealous because Serena Ruka was cute, smart, and could cook too. Aoi Hatsuki gloomily said they would be in trouble if they could not cook for themselves, while Minato admitted he would love to eat homemade food more often. Minato said this only proved Aoi Hatsuki should learn to cook too, and when she pushed back, he argued that cooking was not just for girls and that she needed the practice. While Serena Ruka worked with full concentration, Minato quietly reflected that people could leave good or bad impressions depending on how they behaved. Aoi Hatsuki dryly remarked that Serena Ruka seemed different after what had already happened between her and Minato. Minato nervously asked if Aoi Hatsuki was still holding that against him, insisting he thought they were only friends. Walking beside him while Serena Ruka cooked ahead of them, Aoi Hatsuki agreed, but the silence between them stayed tight. Aoi Hatsuki explained that because they were friends, there was no reason to overthink it and treated it like a normal sign of closeness between close companions. Minato recalled that ever since their first boundary-crossing moment, he and Aoi Hatsuki had kept repeating that hidden tension between study sessions. As she leaned closer, Aoi Hatsuki admitted she would feel awful if Serena Ruka found out. Even so, Aoi Hatsuki told Minato he should not be doing this while Serena Ruka was cooking nearby, though she still let the moment continue. Minato, flushed and overwhelmed, wanted a little more, but Aoi Hatsuki stopped him and said that was enough. Aoi Hatsuki hesitated and started to suggest something even more reckless, but she could not bring herself to say it out loud. Flustered, Aoi Hatsuki pulled away and warned that Serena Ruka would notice if they kept going,